The one thing I've found that when you look at classic cars is it's really easy to fall in love with them straight away. And then when the bad points come up, you kind of overlook them because you've already fallen in love with the car and you can imagine yourself driving around the country in beautiful sunshine. Now this is the Triumph and they love rust. They absolutely adore it. So we're going to have a look over the car now and look at those problem areas which you may need to have a look at before you purchase your first Triumph 2000. Before you start getting underneath the car, have a general look round. Does the shell look straight and do the panels line up? Both sides of the car should be a pretty good match. Rot has seen off many of these cars, but late spec Mark IIs, this is May 1974 onwards, are the most prone. Whilst checking for rust, make sure you look around the light fittings. Rust can build up all around the housing, causing them to rattle. At the back of the car you have a lovely place for water to sit on that little shelf just where the boot meets the valance. It's not always the rot that you can see that's the most problematic, it's the stuff that's hidden away. So get your gloves on and start feeling the wheel arches. Pay careful attention to the ones at the front as they are double skinned, creating a water trap. And with the drain holes along the top of the trailing edge often being filled in during repairs, it just holds the water. The same goes for the drain holes at the bottom of the front wings. This leads to rot in the lower panels. Open up the boot and look around the spare tyre and then look down the side of the liner. Here you can see another area where the rust just loves to eat away at your car. Next up, it's time to inspect the seam at the base of the windscreen. This starts to rust where it joins the welded on wings. Now it may look an easy job, but you have to remove the wings to sort it. The bonnet mount can become weak and break away. Ensure it's sturdy and supportive before letting go of the bonnet. Don't forget whose head will be in there when working on that engine. Being front hinged, the slightest knock will push it out of line, and realigning it on your own can take forever. There's one place that a load of people always forget to look. It's the petrol cap cover. Also make sure you can open it. There is nothing worse than going for your first drive, stopping for petrol and finding it just won't budge. Open the doors and have a look at all that trim. Does it all match? Has the previous owner had them custom made? If they have, it will prove a problem to get other trim to match. In the driver's side footwell, have a look at the pedals. Do they feel secure? Do they have excess movement? Don't forget, these are the controls of your car that you may be driving. Lift up the carpet as much as you can. If water is getting in from the front doors or the windscreen, it will find its way to those floor pans. The good news is that you can replace them. Do the same in the back. Now it's also a good idea to remove the rear seat and have a nose around in there too. The rear suspension pickup points also dissolve. Have a push down and see if it springs back or is it saggy. Also listen out for crunching noises. Making sure it's safe to do so and that the engine is cool, it's time to get underneath the car. Now it's better on ramps, but yes, sometimes you've just got to say goodbye to your back. With your torch, inspect the floor pans from underneath and those wheel arches further in. Check the outriggers. Ensure their drainage holes are clear. If they have rusted, replacement is generally easier than repair. Whilst you're on the floor, have a look over the drainage holes on the bottom of the doors. Now you've got to make sure that they're clean and dirt free. If they're not, they just act like a plug in the bath. Time for the tricky stuff. Check for end float in the crankshaft thrust washers. What you need to do is have a good look in the engine bay and find the pulleys. Then locate the bottom one. Grab hold of it. Now you've got to make sure that the engine is off and the keys are out of the ignition. If it moves more than 0.015 inches or if you hear a clonking noise, then this indicates the thrust washers have gone. If you're looking at a manual car, then you can make life easy for yourself by getting someone else to put their foot down on the clutch whilst you look for movement. If your thrust washers have gone, then you're going to need a replacement engine, but don't panic, they're not that expensive. If the washers are still in place, it's possible to replace them with oversized ones without having to remove the engine first. The engine on a Triumph 2000 can normally do around 150,000 miles before it needs an overhaul. However, the 2.5 litre engine should have a regrind after about 120,000 miles. Now this is due to its longer throw crank. If you're looking at the Mark 1 2000, the engine had a tendency to blow head gaskets, so have a little look around for oil spray in the engine bay. The good thing about owning a Triumph 2000 is the club support. Plus, almost everything you could hope for in the way of spares is available too. You've been over the car, you've looked at all those areas which could be a potential problem if you were to buy one. And now you've got to ask yourself two questions. One, can you do the work that needs to be done? Or do you have to get somebody else to do it for you? And if you have got to get somebody else to do it for you, can you afford it? If it's the first one, have you got the time? If you have, and you want one, then the Triumph 2000 is going to be the car for you.